The hum of the old mop bucket echoed through the empty hallways of Ridgefield Tech Corporation. It was long past midnight and everyone had gone home. Everyone except Ethan Cole. His uniform, faded and worn, carried the scent of disinfectant and exhaustion. As he pushed the mop across the cold marble floors, his reflection stared back at him. Tired eyes, calloused hands, and a heart that refused to quit. He was 43, a single father raising a 12-year-old boy, scraping every penny to keep food on the table and hope in their small, dimly lit apartment. But what no one knew was that after his janitor shift ended, Ethan didn't go home to sleep. He went home to create. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in stories that remind us that dreams can rise from the hardest nights, then please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Single Son Stories. Your support helps stories like Ethan's reach more hearts. Ethan's story began long before that night. He wasn't always a janitor. Years ago, he had been an engineer, a bright one, full of promise, working for a company that once believed in him. But life has a way of testing even the strongest spirits. When his wife, Laura, was diagnosed with a rare illness, Ethan poured all his time and savings into her treatment. He sold his car, his tools, even his dreams, and when she passed away, he lost not only her, but his sense of direction. His company replaced him within weeks. His savings evaporated. All that was left was a little boy named Oliver, whose smile reminded him daily of both his greatest love and his deepest pain. Days blurred into nights as Ethan took on whatever jobs he could find. The janitor position wasn't glamorous, but it was steady. It meant rent paid, lunches packed, and medicine bought when Oliver's asthma flared up. Yet beneath the layers of fatigue, Ethan's mind still burned with ideas, small inventions, mechanical sketches, and half-built prototypes scattered across their kitchen table. He couldn't stop creating. It was the only part of himself that still felt alive. Every night after Oliver fell asleep, Ethan would sit in their cramped living room, soldering wires and sketching on scrap paper. His latest idea wasn't meant to change the world, just to make life a little easier for people like him. It was a compact, self-cleaning floor mop that used low-cost sensors to detect spills and clean them automatically. Simple, efficient, affordable. But for Ethan, it was a symbol, proof that he wasn't finished yet. Proof that even after all the loss, he could still build something that mattered. He worked in silence, guided by the faint hum of his old desk fan. Sometimes the neighbors complained about the light from his window staying on until dawn. Sometimes Oliver would wake up and find him asleep at the table, a screwdriver in his hand, blueprints under his cheek. But despite the fatigue and the endless work hours, there was something in Ethan's eyes again. Something that looked like hope. Then came the moment that changed everything. One night, while cleaning the tech company's lab, Ethan accidentally overheard a conversation between two engineers. They were struggling to design a low-cost cleaning robot for commercial use. Ethan froze, listening. Their concept was brilliant, but their approach was inefficient. They were using expensive materials that would never make it to market. As he mopped quietly, an idea sparked in his mind. His own invention, smaller, cheaper, smarter, could actually solve the problem they were talking about. But he was a janitor. No one would ever take him seriously. For weeks, Ethan wrestled with that thought. Should he speak up? Should he risk humiliation? What if they fired him just for trying? Yet something inside him refused to let go. He had promised his wife once, during her final days, that he would never stop teaching Oliver to believe in himself. And what kind of father would he be if he didn't lead by example? One morning, after a long night of adjustments and testing, Ethan carried his prototype to work. It was crude, made from recycled parts and secondhand circuits, but it worked. During his lunch break, he slipped into the lab and quietly demonstrated it for one of the young engineers, a kind man named Raj, who often greeted him with a smile. At first, Raj thought it was a joke, until the small device began to move, detect a puddle, and clean it perfectly on its own. Raj was stunned. He asked where Ethan got it. When Ethan said he built it himself, Raj's eyes widened in disbelief. Within hours, word spread through the department. The next day, Ethan was called into the office of the company's director. He expected to be fired. Instead, he found himself surrounded by engineers, all eager to see the janitor's invention. When he turned it on and the small machine began its simple, perfect motion, the room fell silent. Then applause broke out. Within weeks, Ridgefield Tech offered to buy the patent from him, but Ethan hesitated. He didn't want money alone, he wanted a chance to work, to create, to belong again. And so, with trembling hands, he asked for something that seemed impossible, a job as an engineer. The director looked at him for a long time, then smiled. "You've already been one," she said softly. "You just needed us to see it." From that moment, everything changed. Ethan's invention became the foundation for a line of affordable cleaning technology used in schools and hospitals. He was promoted from janitor to lead technician, then to product developer. The same hallways he once mopped, he now walked in a clean suit, designing systems that helped people like him, workers who deserved dignity and relief. But the greatest change wasn't at work. It was at home. The night he came back and told Oliver that they'd finally move out of the old apartment, the boy threw his arms around his father's waist and whispered, "Mom would be proud." Ethan broke down. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to cry, not from exhaustion, but from gratitude. Months later, during a company event, Ridgefield Tech unveiled his invention to the world. Cameras flashed, executives spoke, and the story of the janitor who changed the future of cleaning spread online like wildfire. But Ethan didn't care about fame. As he stood there, watching Oliver smile in the front row, all he could think about was the nights of struggle, the silence, the doubt, and how somehow every bit of it had led him here. He looked out over the audience and said, "Dreams don't die when life gets hard. They sleep, waiting for you to wake them up again." If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that perseverance, love, and belief can turn even the darkest nights into light, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Single Son Stories. Your support helps more people find hope in stories like Ethan's. Special request: in the comments, write "Never stop believing" if you think everyone deserves a second chance.